LIEnette and Crook are now representing themselves in court in federal case number 1 and federal case number 2. And there's so many lies, George.
It's just way too easy to debunk these people.
Let's have some debunking fun. You've got document after document after document here.
Court
of these
documents.
Current filings. All right. Just go, George. Go with it. Go with it.
It's just
What do you
way
got?
too easy to debunk our stalkers that moved here from Northport in a perfectly fine home with plumbing, a flushing toilet, to Otter Creek, one of the poorest counties, that bought land, vacant land that used to be a dump for the last decade.
It's
with
even more of a
sickly-
dump
it
now.
is. With a sickly child, their story does not add up.
It's rather odd, if you ask me.
It is. And I've said time and time again, they never had the funds to build a brand new home. A brand new home when they could have stayed in a perfectly fine built home, existing home in Northport.
According to LIEnette, beautifully refinished home.
And don't forget, the very first day that Jeremy met LIEnette and Crook and the child, Jamie Johnson was there, who's the godmother of the child. She told Jeremy that LIEnette moved to Otter Creek to be close to him. And I remember that specifically because he called me immediately and said, we have friends that just bought property across the street from us and they want to bring a tortoise rescue. It didn't make any sense,
Too
but
soon.
now a lot of this stuff, we can
Too
connect the dots, and it makes perfect sense that what Jamie said in front of LIEnette, that she moved her to be close to Jeremy, makes perfect sense. They never had the money. The intentions and the dark intentions behind her plan to move here was to utilize our fan base for donations and promotions for her total
Jamie
rescue.
is willing to testify. All right, what do we got? What do we got?
All right, so there's so many people are confused, including LIEnette and Crook. There are multiple cases going on right now. LIEnette has filed 3 lawsuits against you and myself within the last year or so.
Yes.
And of all those 3 lawsuits, guess what? She voluntarily dismissed all three.
Yeah.
All 3.
That seems like a problem.
Yes, it is a huge problem.
Okay.
So yesterday she filed, actually, was it yesterday or Tuesday, 2 days ago?
Well, it doesn't matter. She filed. Let's just roll with it.
She filed after you got the default. There was a default filing
So
made.
there is a default. They initiated no response whatsoever to the accusations. Therefore, now we go into default mode.
And so they willingly and knowingly ignored it, and then they tell on themselves.
LIEnette, Crook, and Marli Huge. All right. And there's many more coming. Many more coming.
All right, so here we go. Let's do LIEnette.
All right.
Shall we?
Let's-
Because she's the
yeah.
ringleader behind here.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Crook's idea to move here. It was definitely hers.
Oh, yeah, hands
yeah.
down.
He just
Hands
follows her around like a lost puppy dog.
down.
All right, so there were 4 documents submitted yesterday in the second federal lawsuit, where there's a total of 10 people, diabolical 10. We call that lawsuit
2 more.
the diabolical defaming 10.
2 more in the process of being added.
Yes.
Okay.
And these 2 people are the ones that DEUCE recruited himself.
Oh,
Violent individuals.
that's not going to look good in the federal courts.
People that have put us in fear for our lives and our safety. So there was document 23, document 24, document 25, and document 26.
in federal case number 2.
Correct.
Okay.
So here is document 24. I'm gonna jump around. Here's document 24.
Now, we can tell this is DEUCE's document that he gave to LIEnette.
It's a copy and paste.
Because you've got the header, and these are all the
colons.
million colons that he puts in. But
Yeah.
LIEnette and Crook obviously couldn't keep them lined up.
Yes.
A little bit of a problem there.
And so they filed a motion, and the motion was to set aside default and request for time to plead. And so,
Well, let's explain what that is. What they're saying is, yes, we agree. We're in default judgment mode right now. Can we please set aside default, and give us 3 more weeks to respond appropriately to the claims that have been made. Now, obviously, my answer is going to be absolutely not. You had every opportunity to do this already. You completely, willingly, knowingly ignored it.
Just like they ignored the cease and desist issued back in May of 2023.
So they're asking the judge to take the default judgment, set it aside, give them 3 more additional weeks when they never asked for a continuance. And here's the odd part. You got DEUCE. Yeah, that guy right there. You know DEUCE. You got DEUCE, who was even smart enough to ask for a continuance. You've got the god of liability, of libel. You've got him who asked for clarification in regards to what he actually did. And that's only what he did. And he's now getting screenshots of everything that he said and that he did. And those are two people.
So just to be clear, this doesn't apply to the rest of the
Absolutely
people
not.
listed as
It
defendants.
applies to the 2 people who responded. And you would think that the other 8 would go, oh, 2 lawyers responded. We should too. Except DEUCE, I guarantee you, is probably telling them, no, you don't have to respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, LIEnette posted herself in social media that we were told that it's being modified and we don't have to do anything.
The DEUCE is on the loose. And that's when you got DEUCE just slingshotting, doing, poo everywhere.
All right, so pursuant to FRCP 55, you know that Bruce wrote this and LIEnette and Crook did not. And we'll prove that to you later. Because they put it in a federal filing that they don't know how to write anything to the courts because they're not lawyers.
But wait, hold a second. LIEnette said that she represented herself and she was the best lawyer ever. She did such a good job.
She did say that. She also said she was indigent, and so did John. But we're going to debunk that as well here in a little bit.
This is going to be fun.
It says, pursuant to FRCP 55, defendant Michelle Preston moves to set aside default and asks for 21 days to please from the date when the plaintiff files an amended complaint as required by the court's order, Doc 117.
All right, wait, hold a second.
We're only on Doc 24.
All right.
Doc 24.
So, first and foremost, she's so incompetent. And DEUCE is so incompetent.
Yes.
Because DEUCE told her and him to put this in here to reference document 117.
In a completely different case.
Completely different federal court case. Has nothing to do with this court case. Now, the judge could combine the 2 together, and frankly, that would make more sense, and it would cost me less money. But that has not happened. She's being told to reference a document from a completely different court case that has nothing to do with this court case. Yeah. Mind-blowing.
Completely different case number as well. So anyone outside looking in is going to look up this court number, and they're not going to see that 117 even exists.
Foolishness.
All right. Says, as good cause, I am indigent and unrepresented. So we're going to debunk that later as well.
Okay. And indigent means poor. I have no resources to pay for a lawyer. And frankly, I'm at that same place. I mean,
if she's indigent, then I'm indigent.
And I'm indigent. So I have to I can't even buy clothes for myself because I'm paying for legal fees. She's got clothes. Oh, wait, she's got e-bikes. She's got
multiple streams of income.
Tons of jewelry, tons of merchandise at the flea market.
Yes.
But go on.
All right. And then it says, I am also being sued in another case in this court by the same plaintiff, which has most of the same allegations. He is also suing me in state court and in Ohio. Why bring this up? Again, another court case that's irrelevant to this, but she brings it up, which to me is a big oopsies.
Huge, because now
we get
to bring everything from the Ohio court cases,
proving that another court found them guilty,
into the federal court case. So before it wouldn't have been relevant. Now that she's opened this door, the door is completely opened. We get to bring all the guilty charges into federal court case. This is just genius on their part.
Yeah, stupid people make stupid mistakes and
play stupid games. You're gonna win stupid prizes.
Move to Otter Creek to stalk somebody, and you face stupid consequences.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and then it says where I have never been. So the judge already explains you don't have to be in a state in order to get a civil protection order.
But
remember,
George,
she tried to get one on you.
But George, hold a second.
Cyber stalking.
Wait, DEUCE claimed to the judge, "I fear for my life. My wife had to quit her job," to a state where I've never been.
No, I've never been there either.
Hold a second. They went to the police in a state where I've never been. Oh boy, isn't this interesting? So DEUCE used the same argument over and over again. In a state where they've never been. In a state where they've never been. Ohio has no jurisdiction. And yet he's in Massachusetts? And I've never been to Massachusetts.
Or Connecticut.
And now he's claiming that I did something wrong in Massachusetts? Wow. Wow. Can we say hippo? Well, not crit. It rhymes with it. It's a pile of... Yeah. All right. Keep going.
The double standards. Remember, she crossed state lines. She never had to be in Ohio. She crossed state lines into Ohio. That judge made it clear that she has jurisdiction in all 50 states because he resides in the state of Ohio.
Illegal residency.
She should have thought about that before emailing the Ohio mayor.
Should have thought about that before stalking us to Otter Creek. And everybody else should think about that before stalking us, because if we ever get stalked again, you're going down the same route. It better stop.
He's suing me in state court in Ohio, where I have never been. He has a protective order that he weaponizes in Florida to get me held in contempt in Ohio. So you can't weaponize a protection order if they're violating it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. They want to say because John Crook was in Walmart the same time I was in Walmart, and it's documented, filmed, and one time over a year and a half. One time. And they're saying I weaponized it? How do you weaponize it? If I was weaponizing it, I would be there every time they're in Walmart. If I was weaponizing it, I would be at the Chiefland Flea Market every single weekend. And to this date, we have chosen not to go. If I was weaponizing it, I would make sure we were at the post office every time they were at the post office. But instead, what we did is we reached out, and we have the post office now coming to us, so we never have to see them again. The post office is now coming to us, so we don't have to go. Now, please try and share with me again how I'm weaponizing it. This is so much going to blow up in their faces.
It's going to be hard for them to debunk us weaponizing a protection order when I was at the post office and she ignored my vehicle, pretended like she didn't see it when she clearly saw it, and then pushed the envelope and went in there to get her mail, and then talked to a local outside.
And then was found guilty. In contempt.
So again, now we have the post office coming to us to pick up packages because we're doing whatnot auctions versus us going to the post office to try and weaponize this protective order. So
not only that, we put up our dream property for sale. Not only that, we removed our animals from our dream property and ourselves to put ourselves in a better place of protection. But somehow debunked. Just keep going. This is
too easy.
It's too easy, and it's going to be hilarious in the federal court.
So she goes on to say that he got me held in contempt in Ohio. So for those of you that are new, that are following, they've both been held in contempt of court twice, both found guilty twice.
And they're going to have another hearing in Ohio for multiple charges and a ton of third-party charges and extension of the actual civil protection order. So they are going to be in another case in Ohio.
He has targeted me and my daughter, now the age of 5, on YouTube since May of 2023. Again, May of 2023, remember that date. That's the exact same month and year when he hired an attorney to issue them a cease and desist. And she publicly posted on her Facebook group, which is now deleted because she's incriminated herself over and over again in that group, that her attorney told her to ignore it.
Now, here's the beautiful part of her deleting everything. Once she deletes it, and it's already stated, it's already publicized, she's deleted everything. Now the jury gets to infer that there was incriminating evidence and she's guilty. So Marli Hughes has multiple times in chats in the Fleas stated that they had all this information and that they deleted everything. Now Marli Hughes gets guilty as well. The jury gets to infer that they deleted everything because they knew it was incriminating, which it was, and it is. And so now they're looking at even a greater charge because of spoilage. In other words, think of food spoiling. Well, now they've spoiled all the evidence and they tried to
evidence
get it all
tampering.
wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not,
a no-no.
not good for
That's
them.
a no-no.
Like,
So there is proof that LIEnette wrote in one of her 911 calls that she deleted the group, and during her deposition for the temporary injunction she tried to place on him, which was the first lawsuit, that she also deleted it during the deposition. She's admitted it in multiple public.
and you have Marla Huge constantly putting it in chats. Thank you.
Not too smart.
Like, how stupid
Not
can
very
these people
smart.
be?
Yeah, they're best to just stop talking and stop trying
They
to
were
defend
best
themselves.
to never do any of this in the first place.
They were best to never move here, period. All right, so then it says, I lost track of the date. I was served. So here she's claiming she was served because she's telling DEUCE she was never served.
We got evidence. She was served.
I lost track of the date. I was served because I am trying to care for my child while all of this is going on. Interesting how she's trying to care for her child, but she spends hours upon hours on social media instead of caring for that child.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I missed the deadline because I am not ignoring this or trying to avoid responding. Another thing to debunk, because she clearly said that they were waiting for it to be modified.
So she
And that
lost
they didn't
track.
need to respond.
So she lost track because she was taking care of her child. But then she said in another, and when we'll get to it, we were waiting to respond. We were waiting. Again,
Someone asked, why
so
did you
many
default?
lies.
Someone asked them, why did you default? She said, we didn't. We were told we didn't have to respond because the
all
lawsuit's
public,
being
all public comments being used in
on
court.
social media. It says, this lawsuit is to fill YouTube stories using me as a character and litigation to generate content. Again, she moved here to be close to Jeremy. She wanted to work for us to be fun employed. She found us on YouTube and she wanted Landed to work for us and be fun employed and be on YouTube.
And was going to launch her YouTube for content.
During
she
our
stalked
meet and
us
greet.
for content.
Exposure for her turtle rescue because Jeremy loved to say, what was the saying that you used to say all the time?
Too soon, George.
Just say it.
No!
Say it one time. Okay, this will be the last time you say it.
I used to love turtles.
He used to say a la turtles, and people like LIEnette CROOK don't understand sarcasm, and they take it as gospel. All right, and then it says, this will be shown in defense of the claims in this case. Okay, she's been saying that since the first lawsuit, which she voluntarily dismissed. Where is that? Where is all of that? So then it says, I asked for 21 days to file a response once the amended complaint is filed, because responding to the existing complaint would seem pointless since a new one is to be filed in the near future, according to Doc 17. So here she's referring to a completely different defendant who has his own attorney. She's saying that she didn't need to respond because it's being modified and amended. That has nothing to do with her or Crook. It's specifically and solely for that defendant, not her.
In other words, showing a screenshot where MLS said, I saw Jeremy post the signs. I saw him put them in the ground personally. Yeah, his lawyer's going to get that. And guess what his lawyer's going to do? Oh, crap, you're screwed.
You're a dummy.
Yeah.
What a big dum-dum.
Yeah.
All right, and then page 2, it goes into her signature, pro se, but look how her signature is different on this line. Isn't that weird? How she just keeps cheating. Why isn't she using her legal name right there? She's using Michelle, which is her middle name. Why doesn't she just use her legal name? Is it because she knows she's going to be on the run and that's why she changes and has over 40 aliases? 40 aliases. And then the certification. Again, this is just a copy and paste that she took from DEUCE. She did not write this herself. All right, so
and she's claiming that she hasn't heard from Mr. Shockett, and yet at no time did she actually file or respond in time. Mr. Shockett doesn't respond when you don't even say, hey, I'm pro se now. When there's 30 days for her to find a lawyer, she communicates nothing whatsoever. And this has all been set aside. Wait,
So
no,
she
wait.
intentionally waited it to default, and then she contacts the attorney.
So
See how she tells on herself?
it hasn't been set aside. She's asking for it to be set aside. It's in default. How dumb.
All right, so that was document 24. I'm gonna jump to document 26. Interesting how, remember I told you that this is DEUCE's copy and paste? He refuses to put Gainesville Division in here. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is. This is the paperwork from the actual courts, from the federal courts.
Interesting.
And this, I'm gonna use her as an example. This is hers. See how she puts LIEnette Preston and then Michelle in parentheses? That's her legal name. So then this one says motion. This is the motion requesting appointment of counsel. Now remember, if you've been following this, the very first federal case, she did the exact same thing. Asked the courts to grant her an attorney. And what did the judge say? He denied it because you do not get a court-appointed attorney for civil cases.
Not only that, the judge said, looks like you have a pretty good handle on writing these motions anyway, because DEUCE was writing them illegally, which is all going to be addressed in due time.
Yes. So then it says, I, above named plaintiff / petitioner. So it could be either or, the plaintiff or the petitioner. Now hold on a second. You're the plaintiff. Jeremy's the plaintiff. Here it says, I, the plaintiff / petitioner. So this is going to get confusing because now she's claiming that she's the plaintiff in this motion. This is going to get confusing. So then it says, I hereby swear that I am unable to pay the cost of said proceeding or give security, therefore, that I believe I am entitled to redress and that I am unable to litigate this case on my own behalf because, and then it says, please see attached. So keep going. She checked off where it says, in support of this motion, plaintiff / petitioner, which she's not, she's the defendant, states that I have made a diligent effort to employ counsel and contact the following attorneys. So then she talks about how she's called legal aid. She went to lawyers.com, which DEUCE aided her to do that. And that's how they found Stark, to make it look like he didn't solicit.
And for almost 2 years now, we're coming up on 2 years, we've seen her say, my lawyers, my lawyers, my lawyers. And again, debunked lies. She never, ever, ever had lawyers. Ever.
Especially the one that told
All
her to ignore the cease and desist. What attorney would have been that? And then, and have made multiple calls to many attorneys on Google. Here's the kicker. Bruce Matskin was our attorney of record. No one wants to be on YouTube.
I don't get this. I thought Siri was her attorney. Siri, what's the laws in Florida? I thought Siri.
Siri is part of the legal team.
Oh.
Yeah, she hasn't fired Siri yet. But
I'm sure they'll get there soon.
But in the first federal, DEUCE wrote that his clients discharged him, which she didn't even know she discharged him.
Doink! Doink!
No, it's interesting that she says no one wants to be on YouTube because DEUCE found her on YouTube.
Yeah, well, let's break this down a little bit. Nobody wants to be on YouTube, yet DEUCE, as he cried and whined to the judge in his last filing, saying, I'm scared for my life. My wife had to quit her job. I had to hire security. He's begged. He's pleaded relentlessly, messaging, requesting, asking, begging.
Multiple YouTube content creators to cover his macaroni and cheese corrupt story.
And then bringing in other people in his anti-what-the-Hales ecosystem.
Unhinged, dangerous people.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to look in the federal case number 2. No lawyers want to be on YouTube. He pleaded to be on YouTube. He begged to be on YouTube.
He's on the Two Fleas panel for hours. So is she trying to say that DEUCE now regrets interjecting himself in this case and soliciting her and being the ghostwriter behind all of this? Is that what she's saying? Like, are these hidden messages? No one wants to be on YouTube?
I don't speak crazy tortoise.
The attorney that covered for them in the Ohio courts, which she included in here, is on YouTube and has his own YouTube channel.
What? He's a YouTuber?
Yes.
By
He
the
too
way.
withdrew from her because he can't.
Yeah.
He just can't with Bruce.
And so he sent our lawyer in Ohio a message stating that he was so sorry and apologetic for DEUCE's behavior. He has never seen a lawyer behave like this in his entire career. And then my lawyer's response was, I have never, ever been reached out by opposing counsel to apologize for another lawyer. This is just insanity. Insanity.
Interesting, isn't it? Things that make you go,
Debunked!
and All right, and then, let's see, she didn't check off the second box, but she writes in the same answer right there, legal aid, lawyers.com, Florida bar. And then it says, I am financially unable to hire an attorney because number one, I can't afford it. And no attorney wants to be a victim and have their lives on YouTube. Well, Deuce did. Deuce sure did. And Deuce did it for free, pro bono. But they fired him and discharged him. Why would you discharge an attorney if you can't afford an attorney?
There's literally two attorneys in this case as defendants who have defamed me and you, both begging and pleading to be relevant on YouTube, and neither they're not relevant, and frankly, one of them is the biggest joke in the planet.
Misrepresentation in the courts is how I view it. He
Malpractice.
wanted
It's
the
insanity.
judge. He wanted his clients to discharge him because it wouldn't look as bad on his record that the clients fired him versus having his pro hac vice revoked by the judge. That was his cowardly tactic move.
Biggest coward. I don't know if he's a bigger coward or has a bigger nose, but I can tell you they're both huge.
I mean, that's what happens when you lie. Your nose just keeps growing.
Well, and now we know why he has such a big nose. It has nothing to do with cultural. It has nothing to do with picking it, although he wipes it constantly like crazy. It's everything to do with this pathological
habitual lying. All right, and it says we are disabled couple living with a disabled child. Funny how they keep saying disabled. How many videos have you guys seen of her running to the police, running to Channel 20 News, picking up heavy toolboxes and shelves and carrying the child, and then jumping out of her Jeep Gladiator? Disabled people wouldn't be able to do that. So it makes you wonder, is she disabled mentally then versus physically?
This is my hypothesis. She continues to say she has absolutely no disc in her back. And if she had no disc, she would not be able to walk. Okay? I mean,
She'd be a blob the way she describes.
It's all a lie. There is no doubt whatsoever in my mind it is a mental disability that she's on disability for. But she's not letting this be known. And frankly,
because it's embarrassing.
This may be her best actual course in court. I have mental issues, therefore I did this. And now she still isn't admitting to it. And that's her best defense. She's screwed in the head.
But here's the problem with her doing that. If she admits that she has a mental disability,
that baby's gone.
Then the courts are going to be like, oh my gosh, how did we allow her to adopt a child who's a stranger? It's not even family. It's not even blood relative. It's not a great grandchild. It's not a grandchild. It's a stranger that she scammed on Facebook. How did the courts allow her to adopt a child when they're indigent? We'll just ask yourself that question. A disabled couple who can't lift anything physically, adopting a child, and the child needs to be carried. Just ask yourself that question.
And then once you come to the same conclusion we just debunked all that.
Yeah. And it says, my household is separate from John, and we just share our life due to the child. So there's a reason why they got married and then divorced immediately.
Cheat the system.
That you get more government assistance when you are a single mother. Do you guys see this now? She's a single mother, so she can't claim John's income. They did this intentionally and on purpose so that they can milk the government because they're disabled and can't work.
It's complete and total cheating of the system.
Absolutely. And it says no one wants to be on YouTube. She brings that again. No one wants to be on YouTube. Funny how she moved here to be on YouTube.
And by the way, now that she's put all of this in the filings, we get to expose how they're cheating the system in the courts.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best part. I mean, they keep throwing it more and more and more, and we get to expose it all in court.
Mm-hmm. And then here she signs her name, Michelle Preston, but then, oops, I forgot to put LIEnette up there. Oops.
Oopsies. I mean, boopsies.
All right, so here with this filing, page 3. Okay, this is all public record. See where it says document 26.
I see.
Page 3 of 4. Here she includes the SSI benefit, the Social Security income benefit letter for the minor child. This is LIEnette submitting this to the courts, okay? She included this with her filing. And it talks about how it says we plan to increase, and then the child's name is redacted, monthly supplemental security income SSI payment from $662.34 to $967 a month, beginning March of this year. So that was last month. We're in April now. That was last month when she got an increase.
Pretty substantial increase.
Yeah. So this to me just screams she only adopted a special needs child because
Money.
all she saw was money. All she saw was money. Before she officially adopted the child, she was only bringing in $803 a month on Social Security. How could you care for a special needs baby if you're only bringing in that much? Again, it explains why she divorced Crook, because she could be a single mother getting more benefits. And then I won't read the rest of it, but the key points is how much she's receiving and that LIEnette filed this in the federal filing.
Which now we get to expand, explore, and expose in the federal court.
Yes. So if you remember, LIEnette filed a second lawsuit in the state of Florida, and this time it involved Jeremy, myself, Larry, who's an attorney in Kentucky, and DJ Radis, who's a DJ that makes parodies. And she did voluntarily dismiss that case back in December.
Which she's not off the hook for.
No.
No, she is being countersued for legal fees and sanctions, except good old Starkey boy, who I guess he wanted to be on YouTube. I mean, all these lawyers, Sean Martin wanted to be on YouTube, DEUCE wanted to be on YouTube, Silver Scam wanted to be on YouTube, Starkey wanted to be on YouTube. Now Starkey's claiming, ha, ha, it's the big one. Ha, ha, I'm coming to see you.
Elizabeth.
Well, I think his wife's name starts with a J, and she's pretty much incompetent and foolish too.
Yeah.
The things
the
she
social
posts.
posts that she makes.
Remember, she couldn't, or they couldn't come to Levy County for the deposition.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't make it for court. Yet I just have in March they were in Orlando and Kissimmee for court. She's posting it.
That's 4 hours round trip. But they can't make it to Levy County. And when the judge offered the Zoom link, all of a sudden he was rushed to the ER. It's all games. He was probably having an anxiety and panic attack because
We're looking at huge amounts of money in sanctions.
DEUCE bullied him and put him into the ER.
And so Stark is now going to be held accountable for 50% of the fees and fines, sanctions, lawyer fees. He's going to be held accountable for 50% of all fines and fees, sanctions and lawyer fees. LIEnette will have to pay for half of them. Stark will have to pay for half of them. That's why.
You don't file frivolous lawsuits and then voluntarily dismiss it. You don't get away with that after all of the court fees and the attorney fees when the defendant is dishing out money, when you're doing it for free basically because DEUCE paid for it. He paid for Stark, didn't he?
I mean, we do have the communication where he sent $1,500, and then LIEnette was going to have to pay installments for the rest of the $1,500 to make a $3,000 total. But we'll get to the bottom of it in court, no doubt.
All right. So then it explains. She talks about her net income. So she filed for indigent status when she filed this lawsuit. Here again, this is all public record. You can find this yourself. She explains how much she gets in Social Security, additional income, and then some of her expenses. So again, we're going to total all this up at the end, you guys, and you tell me if this is indigent status or not, because they bring in way more than I do a month. Social Security benefits for her, she brings in $736 a month. And then for the child, $638, which lines up with what she submitted to the courts when she submitted her SSI benefit letter. And then other kinds of income she gets. So not only does she get SSDI, she also gets SSI. So with the SSI, she gets $132.72.
Who's paying all that? Oh, that's right. We are.
She was a stripping ordained minister. She didn't pay into the system, so that's why she gets such little amounts. So then here she talks about her liabilities and debts. Her motor vehicle, she wrote $732, but when I was personally on her property, based on my personal experience with her, she told me that her Jeep Gladiator payment was over $600. I about had a heart attack. Like, I would never pay that much a month on a vehicle. Why would she buy a brand new vehicle paying over $700? And that's just the payment alone. That doesn't include vehicle insurance. And then the home, she put $360 a month for a home. I'm not sure what that means because they don't have a home. Is she talking about her shed?
Well,
yes, actually, she did say that she's still paying on the shed.
Well, in here, didn't she say that they live in different things?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
she did say that she's still paying on the shed that she lives in. So the $360 makes sense. And then the camper that's on the property, from my understanding, that belongs to Crook. So we don't know if she's helping out with that or if that Crook is just paying that each month. And then she put down that she has credit card bills of $10,000. It says, I am building a house and have no money to do it. So again, if she had no money to begin with and was indigent, why would you build a brand new home on vacant land? She never had the money to develop, never had the money to build. There's so many expenses that goes along with building a brand new home. And the property was a dump for decades. And she knew that going in.
But her neighbor across the street loves to help people. But she ain't getting any help from me.
Do you see the hidden agenda? She had bad intentions from day one, and we are not okay with that. And so she signs her name, LIEnette, MLA Preston. I mean, how many middle names does this woman need? So
Ruby, Lacey.
Wait till you see document 26, page 4. She puts, Dear Judge, I do not know how to write anything for the courts as an attorney. Really? What is this?
That just happened.
What is this? Clearly you know how to write, or you're allowing DEUCE to ghostwrite for you, which he's going to get busted for.
Which the judge is going to realize.
He's going to
because
know.
DEUCE already put it in documents. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to help behind the scenes. LIEnette has put her. He's still doing. It's all illegal. He cannot legally do this.
Bruce is very much a part of our team. That was written on 4/18, the same day she filed these ridiculous motions. After he lied to the judge and said that my clients discharged me. She didn't know she discharged them.
No clue.
He is still behind the team. We released him from our case because he made her, because it would look bad on his part if he had his Pro Hoc Vice revoked.
Using a scammer.
And they're too stupid to know that this is why he did it. All right, let's keep going. I don't know how to write anything for the courts as an attorney. Okay, well, let's see document 23 and 24. There's 24. Here's 23. Here's 23. See, there's Deuce's header. Where's the Gainesville division? That's exactly how he would write all of his. All right. And then it says, as I am not an attorney, so please forgive me. John Cook and I applied to the courts as the onset of this case for court-appointed counsel, and it was determined at that time that this is not a complex case. So here she's saying we've already applied for counsel during the first case, and you've denied it because clearly they could write motions, because they allowed DEUCE to write a motion for them
illegally
to dismiss the case based on jurisdiction, because apparently he lives in Otter Creek full time and they watch his video every day and they see him driving around town. And it says, But I truly believe now that Your Honor can clearly see this as far more than a complex case, and that we are just normal, everyday people who are being falsely accused of actions we absolutely and adamantly deny for use on YouTube videos to make money off our humiliation and the destruction of our lives for his monetary gain.
So just pause right there. Even Fleesa admitted, and we have all the videos, that LIEnette admitted that she wrote one of the signs. As they went on to then say, they went on to say that I wrote all the rest of them. Isn't that interesting? And continued to now deny that she's not trying to work a deal to get herself out of this predicament she's placed herself in.
Another oopsies.
Oopsies, as Tori throws her under the bus saying, yeah, you didn't get the deal you wanted. We don't negotiate with fleas, walruses, or toothless
terrorists.
Okay. All right, that works.
All right. So again, if the two
By the way, let me clarify
case,
the terrorist comment. They're terrorizing us, third party, illegally. Illegally. And this is all going to be dealt with in Ohio. This is third party contact. They're terrorizing our lives. This is how we got civil protection orders against Crook and LIEnette. And now they're a vital part of it for Crook and LIEnette. They're very vocal about it, and they don't stop whatsoever. And it's all going to court in Ohio with them as well.
How are we falsely accusing them when in the Ohio courts they admitted to all the exhibits that we showed them? They admitted to every single one.
Sounds like somebody just got debunked again.
All right. And then it says, and we are not in any way capable of defending ourselves against Mr. Hales and his attorney. If you didn't do it, it would be easy to defend. Clearly, she wrote it and won't be able to defend herself because she wrote it. She's going to incriminate herself.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. If you want to claim I don't have money to defend myself in court, I need a lawyer. Don't stalk somebody. Don't defame somebody. Don't harass somebody. Don't break civil protection orders. I mean, it's really easy
It really
concept.
is. She took the time to handwrite multiple signs front and back calling Jeremy the Ohio arpist and that he arped her daughter. And now she wants to play victim. You don't do that because you didn't get your way. She didn't get her way, spiraled out of control, and wrote those signs. And now she's admitting to one. Does she think her punishment's going to be less if she says, "Oh, I only wrote one, and then the rest I don't know"? Jared trying to blame you for writing them?
I don't know what goes up in that tortoise mind.
She goes on to say, there will be a trial and many witnesses to include experts. Yeah.
Wait, DEUCE told everybody there will never be a trial.
Yeah.
But LIEnette is now claiming there will be a trial?
There will be a trial. And witnesses. The ones that saw her putting the signs up.
So DEUCE is a liar?
Debunked.
DEUCE, who went to the fleas and claimed that there was never, ever, ever the judge saying that they were going to be shackled, put in jail by the marshals, but now begging and pleading in filings, you're gonna jail me like you said. You mean he lied? My goodness. Has anybody figured this out yet? They all constantly, continually lie.
So she's worried about a trial and having many witnesses and expert witnesses, which are going to prove that she 100% wrote the signs defaming him and calling him the Ohio arpist. Because if she was standing in her truth...
You mean her trash?
Yes, her trash.
Okay.
Then she wouldn't be afraid of a trial, the jury, and the witnesses. It says, and many exceptional circumstances that Your Honor could have not seen before now, and we are not able to deal with this as attorneys for ourselves. So if you notice, she includes many exceptional circumstances. Exceptional circumstances. She does not fall under those exceptional circumstances. Very rarely do the courts appoint an attorney for a civil matter. She does not fall under those exceptional circumstances.
That clause for civil cases, correct.
It says, we are also caring for a disabled daughter with special needs. See, this is part of her scam where she tries to use the disabled child to exploit her. Oh, feel sorry for us. We have a disabled child. We're disabled too. Why would you, if you're disabled and you're indigent, again, why would you adopt a stranger, a child that you don't know is not blood related?
And move to a dump.
that's also disabled. There's plenty of other mothers that could have saved this child and been financially adequate to take care of this child. To me, this just screams, hey, we adopted a child with special needs because we needed more money. And that alone is a 24/7 job for us. So if it's a 24/7 job for us, she's saying, meaning her and Crook, why would she run for a seat for council if it's a 24/7 job?
Why is she at the flea market if it's a 24/7 job?
Job.
Wait, hold a second.
But
Why
she also said she doesn't leave the child alone with anyone.
Why
That includes Crook.
has she said in the past that Crook has nothing to do with the child, but now in these filings she's saying that Crook is part of the child and the care of the child 24/7. Can we say more debunking? I mean, the contradictions are insane.
So then she goes on to say, we looked for counsel near us and we are unable to afford to pay for an attorney. And the only person who stood up was Bruce Matskin from Boston.
Wow, I bet Silver Scam feels bad. Sean Martin feels bad. I bet Stark feels bad right now. Huh.
Highly doubt that she Google searched for an attorney out in Boston outside of Florida, which proves that he found her on YouTube and solicited her.
This pile of DEUCE already proved in his own filing that he found out all about this from YouTube. Proving the ambulance chasing,
Yes.
like the insanity. How dumb. He put it in a federal case filing.
Stupid people make stupid mistakes, and it's all over these public filings. And then it says, and he was threatened and harassed, and his wife was, and he feared coming here to Florida, and the expense out of his pocket was way too much of a hardship for him and his family. So if it was a hardship for him and his family to come here to Florida, why did he agree to be pro bono?
Why did he tell the judge in federal case number 1 that he was waiting for the judge to do an in-person hearing in Pensacola so he could come to Pensacola, and now he's claiming, I can't come to Pensacola. My mom died. My mom didn't die.
So if he is financially hurting to make a trip to Florida,
He's going to be financially hurting a whole lot more.
That screams to me that
Fullest
he's not
extent. You want to finish it?
of the law.
law.
That just screams to me that he's not a successful lawyer and that he was doing this as a money grab because he too wanted to be promoted on YouTube.
He probably wanted to be fun employed. Now he's just dumb employed.
All right. And then it says, oh, and by the way, he's been doing a lot of crowdfunding using YouTube, and they've been paying for a lot of things.
Illegal.
Yeah. All right. So we can be able to fairly defend ourselves from all the lies and false allegations against us. Hold on a second. Let me read that. Let me read that again.
All right.
So, Your Honor, here we are asking again for the courts to appoint us each an attorney so we can be able to fairly defend ourselves from all the lies and false allegations against us. So let's go back a little bit. Silverman was an attorney that she hired for the very first lawsuit she filed against you, claiming that you were stalking her and cyber stalking her. She voluntarily dismissed that lawsuit, and Silverman was her attorney. So did he defend her from all the lies and the false allegations against her?
Oh, Silver Scam knows that she's guilty.
Sean Martin, the attorney that voluntarily agreed to be the pro bono attorney for the Ohio case because he lives an attorney, did he defend them from all the lies and the false allegations when they were found guilty?
Well, he knows they're guilty. He even contacted our lawyer and said, hey, I'm so sorry.
Interesting. We'll keep going. It says, I emailed Mr. Shockett yesterday and he did not respond to my email. And I'm sure his behavior will continue from them. So yesterday, so she didn't even wait 24 hours before emailing Randy and then filing this motion. Like, how impatient is she? She thinks that Randy should be sitting next to his email waiting for her response or an email and respond ASAP.
Well, not only that, Randy actually has other clients and he's in court. But not only that, this is in default right now. So
Why is she?
Why
waiting
would
last
Randy
minute?
respond? I mean this 100%. Why would Randy respond? The courts have put this in default. Randy has nothing to respond to. It's in default. Until she files for her appearance, she's going to be pro se. This thing is in.
She's trying to falsely accuse Randy of ignoring her because DEUCE planted that in her head. Because if you remember, DEUCE messaged Randy on a Sunday and didn't even wait 24 hours for Randy's response, and then went and tattletale to the federal judge. You guys remember that? And the judge even pointed that out. You didn't even wait 24 hours to file this motion.
Now, let's keep in mind that Randy is Jewish, so your Sabbath is over the weekend. It's not Sunday, but it's over the weekend. He also follows, as we've seen in other court cases with Judge Grudge, that sundown, no work. Sundown, no work. That's Jewish custom, right? Sun goes down, no worky, okay? And the sun comes up, now we work. And so you have this whole aspect of when is working, when isn't working, and he has every right to practice any way he wants. If he only works from 9 to 5, 9 to 5, not weekends, he doesn't have to respond. He can respond the 23rd hour and 59th minute. But even then, this thing isn't proactively out there right now. So why would he even respond to her?
What makes me wonder why she didn't include that email to show a
in default.
timestamp.
Yeah, why wouldn't you
when
show the
she
email?
Emailed him.
Why wouldn't you show the email as evidence? But it doesn't matter. It's in default. So why would he respond? I'm the one that has to pay him to respond. Now, I'm not 100% clear whether he had to or didn't have to. But I'm telling you, this case is in default right now with her and Crook and Marli Huge. And so why would he? It's in default.
This last 2 years, plus of court actions and being stalked by Mr. Hales and his friends and fans, has caused both John and I and my 5-year-old, John helps me care for, so much anxiety. We're all going to get counseling to help us.
Well,
We are all getting counseling to help us. So this is dated 4/18. Hold on a second. During the Ohio courts, or actually to Judge Grudge, she cried with crocodile tears saying, I am now getting counseling. DCF is making us get counseling. So she hasn't gotten counseling.
I remember when the DCF officer came out and
Showed up.
didn't even go anywhere, and she's going, I just need counseling. We need counseling for the child. And we're trying to get counseling. It's all lies. There is no counseling. They're not getting counseling.
No, she's too busy defending herself.
She's
and
indigent.
stating her truth on social media instead of caring for the child. We're all going to be getting counseling to help us. Funny, because I mentioned that I'm now in counseling with all of this garbage when we were in Ohio because of these freaks.
Only time she mentioned counseling is after you mentioned it.
To cope with all of this, I have combined this as a letter for both of us, as John cannot write like this and does not have the means to do so. So I think that's a typo. That last line right there, it's saying that she combined the letter for both of them because John doesn't have the means to do so. I think she meant to put he doesn't have the brains to do so.
Oh, yeah.
He's septic. Remember? She said his sepsis went up to his brain.
Doink.
Yeah.
There's Crook's brain. Doink. Doink.
And then
Doink.
it's signed by LIEnette Preston and John Cook. Again, she finally got her legal name right, but she had to squeeze in the Michelle, and there's John. There's John. All right, so document 26 is over. So that's the end of document 26. And so John's is pretty much the exact same thing. It was a copy and paste for his and hers.
Yeah, and the judge isn't going to be very happy about that. The judge has already gone off on DEUCE about these boilerplate copy and paste. And so not going to be happy that they're copy and pasting.
Well, the judge, not only did the federal judge say that he memorized the case number, he also knows what DEUCE's handwriting style is. And he's going to 100% know that he's the one who wrote this. After she wrote this, I don't know how to write anything to the courts as an attorney. They think they can outsmart the judge, and it's actually pretty disgusting. It's disgusting. So She's been using ever since she discharged. I discharged my lawyer. I didn't discharge my lawyer. She's been posting like crazy on her one of her many
YouTube.
social.
Nobody wants to be on YouTube except for her.
It's on her YouTube social media handle. So here on 4/18, again, the same day that she filed this motion, see it's dated 4/18 at the top right there.
And let's be very clear, the avatar that she has is the child on
That
YouTube.
she put on there
which
for
is
years.
inappropriate. Not only that, she has a illegal Facebook for the child as well. Now you're going illegal.
You have to
What
be
does that
13.
mean? Yep. Well, I guess that's internal policies. I don't know if that's against the law. Do you know? Okay, so at a bare minimum, it's unethical. And
Why would a
against
5-year-old
Facebook
need a Facebook page?
policies? Exactly. For
She
grifting.
created it when the child was 1. Why does a 1-year-old need a personal Facebook? I don't understand.
Okay.
So anyways, here she goes, I will definitely defend myself on here, but I will not allow these lies any longer. Bruce is very much a part of our team. I thought you discharged him, LIEnette. I thought she discharged Bruce. How is he very much part of your team?
We got to work on that impersonation. We'll keep working on it.
But due to the safety and issues and threats of his wife and family, we released him from our case.
Release the McNosen!
So you release him from the case, but he's still part of the team. So she just threw Deuce under the bus.
Huge. It's all going to court. It's all...
We are fine, and we will get another attorney near the court, or we will handle it ourselves. We are fine. All right.
Okay.
So then, later on that day, if you scroll up her page, this was a long rant, but I wanted to cue in on the important part because Deuce was all up in the comments of one of these posts, and he changed his name to his wife's name. He forgot the little icon had the B in it. He forgot. Oops. Oopsies. And she says, I will not answer questions about court. I will not answer questions about court. He probably told her to shut up. Shut up. You're incriminating all of us. I will not answer questions about many things that could cause any issues with these cases.
Fleesa seems to have been incriminating information on him as well, claiming that she's been illegally recording phone conversations. Now wants to give them to us for a deal. By the way, we'll be sharing all of that information once we get in court because that's another issue that she's going to have to deal with.
It could cause any issues with these cases. So in other words, she's going to incriminate herself, Crook, and the rest of the defendants, including her legal team, Deuce, who's doing it behind the scenes, ghostwriting as he was before he entered an appearance.
Did you say nose writing?
Yes.
That's what I heard, nose writing.
Nose writing.
Okay.
But I thought she was going to defend herself here and her truth. But now she's not going to answer any questions. Remember when she's like, I plead the fifth. From now on, I plead the fifth. Okay, fine. I'll answer your question. I guess from now on, I'm going to plead the fifth. Okay, fine. I'll answer the question. My mom died. My mom didn't die.
I was discharged. I wasn't discharged. I'm off the case. I'm still on the case.
Oh, goodness. I will not answer questions about many things that could cause any issues with these cases. If you want the information, go to the 2 fleas and follow the case there. Thank you. If you choose not to, then choose not to hear both sides, and it's up to you. But I will not answer any court questions at all. Thank you.
Pretty interesting that she's directing people to third-party contact that she's going to be held liable for in the court of law.
Yeah, but why not? Why isn't she directing people to both sides on the case with Char Michelle? Char Michelle was the investigative journalist that she invited to cover this story. I mean, she's really been exposing their side of the story, which is incriminating and validates everything we've been saying.
You ain't even seen the worst of it yet.
If you really want both sides, Char Michelle is who to go to, not the 2 fleas.
Court. There's some stuff.
All right, so let's talk about how she's indigent, how her and Crook are indigent.
Okay.
Remember?
I like
they
that.
filed indigent applications, which are now public record.
Well, we know because they have it in the public record that number one, they lied about their income. They haven't put anything about the gifts and donations, and those all have to be reported. We know that they didn't put anything about the flea market or the trading post up here in Otter Creek. This is the reality of it. They make more money than I do. I make nothing. I do not get a paycheck. There's no money at the end of the month. After all expenses are paid, there's no money to pay me. I don't get anything. And so thankfully, I have things from storage units that take care of me. George will buy me underwear and socks when they have holes in them.
Once in a while.
Tammy will buy me tons of super cool shirts and right now I'm not even wearing pants because I can't afford it. So they make more money than... You don't make me stand up.
It's pretty sickening. All right, document 25. I do want to go back and show document 25 right there. Document 25. This is where Crook, I'm sure LIEnette made him do it because he doesn't have the brains or the means to write these things. They included a copy of his Social Security benefit letter, okay? And it's dated April 18th, the day that they filed these motions. They must have called Social Security and had them email it to them or whatever. April 18th. See it right there at the top? There's Kirk's name. We redacted his address. Look how much he brings in a month, y'all. And then where it says we deduct $0 for medical insurance premiums each month, that's because he qualifies for both Medicare and Medicaid. So when you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, you don't have to pay that monthly premium. Okay?
Man,
so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
I wish I could get
Remember
something
when Crook brandished a firearm at visitors and he got arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with no intentions to unalive? And he filled out indigent status application.
And
that's public record too.
And he lied about everything.
Here's his. Look.
No
Social
property
Security.
ownership?
No.
Hold a second.
No, he put no.
Yeah. Now you didn't see in their status that they
put
own
no
property.
on everything. He put no on everything. Everything was no.
Their property is paid off. They didn't put that in their indigent status with the federal court.
And
You don't think that's gonna
50% ownership.
You don't think that's gonna come up in court? I mean, how foolish can these people be?
Yeah, and in this particular case where it's public record, someone challenged that and said he's lying to you guys. He's not indigent. Here's all the assets. It's in there if you want to look for it.
It's all public record.
All right, so let's go to how much they bring in total.
Okay.
So LIEnette's SSDI, she gets 3 forms of income, 3 official from Social Security. Herself, she gets 2 forms of income, SSDI and SSI. SSDI is $736, which we found out from her indigent filing from the Trespass 5, which is the 3rd lawsuit she filed and voluntarily dismissed.
Let's pause right there. I do want to clearly state this. There are some people that actually need this.
Yes.
And I have no problem paying taxes for that for those who are in need, an absolute need. I have the problem when people lie on their applications
Like
when
these
they
two.
don't need it, and I'm paying the taxes for it. That's a major issue for me. And so I don't have a problem. If you're out there right now and you're like, hey, I'm on that. And I willingly, gladly will pay the taxes for that because I want to be of help to you. But when people lie and manipulate and mislead and scam, I have a major, major issue with that.
Yeah, that's not okay. We're not okay with that. She also gets SSI, which is $132.70, which she included that in the indigent filing for when she filed the Trespass 5 lawsuit. She included the child's SSI in this filing that we just read. I showed you the letter that she included in the public filing, $967 a month. And then Crook's SSI, which he included in his filing, this recent filing, $1,249. She does have a booth at the flea market there, and they're there every weekend. So that's at least Saturday and Sunday. That's 2 days of the week.
And we know she claims that everybody's buying her vanilla extract. And I would sit there and go, how sick are you probably right now from eating anything from her?
So we can estimate maybe $500 a month.
And we know she's not paying the
sales.
booth fees because everybody else is giving the money to pay the booth fees. So booth fees, that's already been funded. She's not adding that as income. But we're going to just say $125 a weekend, 4 weekends out of the month. We're looking at $500.
Yeah. So again, that's just an estimate. She could be making more. She could be making less. This is just an estimate.
But she's not paying booth fees. She's been very vocal about that. It's been very vocalized about that.
And that everything that she had was gifted to her. So once it's gifted to you, it becomes your asset, right?
And none of it is listed.
So when the Trespass 5 lawsuit, where a group of people helped Lloyd, who is a 70-some-year-old retired veteran from that crazy lady's property. His camper was removed, his vehicle was removed, and he temporarily stayed here at the schoolhouse. Deanna opened her doors to him and allowed him to stay there for a week until he can get a flight back to his daughters in Massachusetts. Isn't that interesting that he went to Massachusetts? How come DEUCE didn't include him on that lawsuit?
Because DEUCE said that there was no money to get from him. He was indigent.
But it was his RV that allegedly was stolen.
Well,
anyways.
Well, LIEnette's now being sued for $55,000 and damages on top of that for a countersuit based on what they did. So,
okay.
I have no doubt any day, any week now, LIEnette is going to supply all the information to put DEUCE under for good forever. And it's not that we don't have it already. We do. We don't need any more. So Felisa begging for a deal ain't going to happen. We don't need any more. We have plenty. LIEnette begging for a deal ain't going to happen. Now, LIEnette has not begged for a deal yet. The other has.
So when Lloyd was here, he voluntarily shared with us all the text messages going back and forth between him and LIEnette. He allowed her and the kids, her grandchild Landon, and then his buddy and his girlfriend, to use his EBT card, and you would hear him say his United Healthcare card, which is additional government assistance. He would get $250 a month each month. He taught LIEnette and Crook how to apply for those same benefits. So they're racking in an additional.
They didn't list that either.
That's not listed on here. They're bringing an additional $500 a month in government assistance for a card that you can use on anything.
Food stamps. Remember food stamps, EBT. So when we're talking about what are their expenses for food, when they constantly are at all the food banks, they have no expenses for food. I'm paying for it. You're paying for it.
So again, this is just an estimate. And when you calculate the $500 a month that they're getting, because they both qualify for this government assistance, they're racking in over $4,000, you guys. Over $4,000. $4,084.70. That's just an estimate. And they're claiming indigent. Even with her income alone, with that, you set aside Crook because she's a single mom, that doesn't make her indigent. She's bringing in way more than some people do, working full time, working hard.
Just gonna do some math, but it looks like you might have already done it.
So here is an estimate of some of their vehicles, again based on what she filed for indigent, and I can kind of go off of what she shared with me when I was personally on her property. So you've got her vehicle, the home, electric, food, water. We know that the water here, everyone gets charged how much?
$48 a month.
It used to be $25, so it increased to $48.
Wait, hold a second. 24. Wait, hold a second. $24 a month.
For residential. Okay.
No, for everybody. It's just this how many gallons. $24 a month.
Okay. Electric, there's roughly, it says that's the average house in Florida, not an RV.
I pay $48 because I'm paying on 2 properties.
Okay. So when I was on her property, when Crook went to the hospital, when she invited me to come on her property to give me bread for the ducks and the chickens.
From Children's Table, which is a food bank.
She told me that her electric bill was $900 a month because Otter Creek gets so cold at night that they needed to have heating lamps on all night, all day, to keep the tortoises warm. Again, it makes you got to question and ask yourself, why would someone who has a tortoise rescue move further south where it gets way cold in the winter times?
She went north.
What did I say?
South, but
I mean north.
Yeah, okay.
She should have went further south where it's more tropical weathers for the tortoises, and those are the climates that they can survive in. Not in Otter Creek where it's way colder and they're spending $900 a month to keep the tortoises warm and have a heater going on.
But they can get methed up people on their property in exchange for work. Come on, George, think this one through. It's Otter Creek.
It's
one
all-
more method in, one more. All right, let's get them out. Let's bring another one in. You guys need a shed? You need a tent? One more.
So again, ask yourself, does this appear like they're indigent based on these numbers? Based on the numbers because they added it in the court filings?
And if we are being very realistic, they make, what was that, $4,084 more a month than I do. Now you're going, Jeremy, but your businesses generate more money. Yeah, my businesses generate more money. And I'm very clear about that. If I generate $1 million in a year and I have $1 million in expenses, how much money is left over?
Well, explain.
Zero.
Expenses would be all the bills that he pays.
All the bills. The bills. There's constant
Paying
bills.
employees,
It never ends.
Paying utilities, gas, heat, water.
Everything.
Paying
There's no
everything.
money. I don't get a paycheck. There is no money to pay me. They make more money than I do.
And that's pretty gross that they are lying to the courts that they're indigent. I don't buy it. I've never felt sorry for her. I think it's sick that she uses a sick child to exploit the child. The feel bad for me, pull on your heartstrings type of scam. I saw right through it immediately. And I'm thinking to myself, if you have a sick child that has this life-threatening disorder and you're disabled and you have no income, why would you move to Otter Creek to build a home and then you're living in a shed? She's been living in a shed for over 2 years with no indoor plumbing, no
She wanted to be
toilet.
with us. She wanted to be right there with us.
They don't even have a real home. Crook lives in the RV and it's disgusting. You guys have seen pictures that Levy County officials have taken with their own cameras.
It is sick.
You've seen videos of how disgusting their property is and how bad it smells.
Now, we're going to see, will the magistrate, will the judge see through all these debunked lies?